there she is, our
Hey,
resident astrologer, Kathy Biehl. We
hello,
made
hello.
it through. Don't you feel like after the holidays, like you just ran a marathon or something?
Oh, yeah.
We made it. Move this down a little bit. How did it go? How'd your holiday go?
Oh, my holiday consisted of some incredibly inconsiderate people showing up at Christmas dinner ill and then not telling anybody what their diagnosis was, and everybody getting sick and then blaming all of us for their infecting us.
I told you about what the guides told me about this winter, right?
Yeah, no. And there are
Gee.
some elderly, entitled people who are not believing this.
Even after the pandemic?
Astonishing, huh? I'm looking at a Gemini and a Pisces, and I'm just watching, like, what's going to happen?
Together? Two
Yeah.
people, a Gemini and a Pisces, hanging out with you over the holidays?
I didn't invite them. Someone else did. Who I think will not invite them again. Anyway, I have had lots of downtime. How about you?
I was very busy with my YouTube channel. I have my hourglass. 1 hour. I read, as you know, it feels like a blur right now. It's like, what did I do the past 2 weeks? I read
Mm-hmm.
Christmas Carol on the 23rd. I did a service. What was it? I did a service on Sunday, my usual Church of Spirituality, and then I did a Christmas Eve service, then I did a Christmas Day service, and then I did the night before, New Year's Eve, I did the reading for 3 hours from spiritual books. And it's a blur. It really is. It was mostly all work on my YouTube channel, so I'm amping it up. I was not on live last night. I actually was wiped out. It was good though. I mean, spreading tidings of comfort and joy, I think.
Good.
So, yeah, the Neptunian energy that you spoke of seemed really appropriate. I mean, I could definitely see and feel that. I feel like it's hard enough when the holidays come to keep track of what day it is, but it seems like it's been a little bit more intense. Like it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Last
I
night
get
I
it.
forgot we were meeting until like the last minute. I was like, oh yeah, tomorrow's Tuesday. So anyway, so you had mentioned astrologically that it seemed like it was going to be a not too eventful holiday, and I think that checks out. I think it was just in the collective. It didn't seem like, I mean, Christmas Eve was relatively peaceful, and New Year's Eve pretty much went off without a hitch. We always kind of are concerned when there are big gatherings, like in New York City. I
Oh,
don't think
yeah.
I don't think I'm alone in that. We're all send protection, send peace. But we came out pretty good. And Abby saying sounds like I was living in front of the camera. Yeah, I did a lot of YouTube videos. So over the New Year, we did do that quick pop-up show.
Yep.
I think that was really helpful, and thanks for that. It really
Sure.
helped us to kind of know what to expect. Going into the new year, I was kind of reflecting on last January, and last January, as far as the political scene, the Republicans had just won the House by a slim majority, and we had all that chaos last year. I was looking back at my video from 2022 going into 2023, and I feel as though I got the year wrong because I really felt like at the start of the year that the Republicans would lose the House, but I think that was talking about 2024.
I had that sense last year, too.
Do you think maybe you time travel to?
I don't know, but it looks bad for them this year. It looks bad
Yeah.
for a couple of people in particular really soon. Excuse me, I shouldn't gloat. Give me a second. I'm going to see if I can get our view a little more. There we go.
You can glow. You can glow. It's fine with me. Is it okay with everyone if Kathy gloats about people getting what's due them? We can
Yes.
put it like that.
A lot of that coming this year.
Do you remember last year what we were going through at this time? Like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And I just said it's going to be a really bumpy ride. Um, Kevin McCarthy being how many votes? 14, 15 votes before
15.
he finally got in. And we didn't know what we were headed for, but I think, and James Comer, as soon as he got in, they were asking him what their plan was, right? What's your strategy? What are you going to work on? We want to get on the Hunter Biden. What was a year ago?
Yep.
They haven't let up. So, what do you think? What do you think we should dive into?
Well, let me start with Mike Johnson. Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
And the reason is that a lot of stuff is heating up for him this month. The whole year promises to be extremely difficult, but this next month is going to be a challenge for him to get through because there's going to be increasing pushback about his religious beliefs, increasing pushbacks about what he's saying and trying to instill into legislation, and increasing pushbacks about ways in which perhaps he has presented an appearance that doesn't match with reality.
I have a lot of questions about that. You ready?
Go ahead.
I feel like he's in a bona fide cult.
Oh,
I
that would
feel
fit.
like, yeah, he's in. It's like we have a sick man who's in a cult. The thing that I cannot let go of is, and I'm sure you've heard about this chastity ceremony that his cults. I don't know what
Right.
they call his church that he's in. If it doesn't even deserve to be called a church. Did you hear about that? What they do?
Yes.
You want to
Yes.
brief
I mean,
me on?
he and his daughter had a ceremony where she put a ring on her finger and promised to be chaste, promised him she will be chaste until she's married. She made this vow to her father and to God. I should point out that there is a a mindset in some really evangelical Christians in the South that um, God is at the top, and then the father, the husband, is right below God, and everyone answers to him as like God in the flesh.
Yeah, I've heard that. But he put the ring on her finger.
Well, we're going to hear more about that this year.
I get that. That's why I'm bringing it up because I don't think. I mean, they're going around. I'm not saying this is happening, but with a party that's going around with all this hyper, like freaking out, blowing up about you're a pedophile. Joe Biden's a pedophile. That's a pedophile. You're a pedophile. What do you do? It's like you pointing to normal people and saying they're pedophiles, and people like, what are you? I would never even think of that. And then I'm not saying Mike Johnson is a pedophile, but to have so much obsession over sex and the children, and he puts a ring on her finger in his chastity ball situation that's basically, to me, it's child abuse. We have biology within us that says at a certain age, all the animal kingdom, whatever the reptile, there's an impulse to procreate. That's natural. But he's telling her she's not allowed to do that. And it reeks of abuse to me. Purity ball, they call
Something
it.
about this is going to come to a head by the end
Yeah,
of August. I
I
mean, there
think
could be
too.
more. There's a lot of other uncomfortable influences hitting him, but in the end of August, Saturn will be on his Venus in which represents his relationship style, and it's going to be in a square with Jupiter in Gemini in his house of children. So, and also
Oh,
romance. So, if there's anything he's got in the closet, it'd be really hard to keep it out then. It could also have to do with money and risk taking. It could be everything, but I would not want to have this kind of stuff floating around in my background with this influence.
like risk
Locking me.
taking, him doing risk taking.
That could be, I mean, that could be an element in all of this too. So target time, August, really uncomfortable for him. But before then, January, lots of stuff coming at him and challenging what he's actually done with himself, and setting the stage for his for things starting to come out about what's been going on with money.
Yeah, because
Gonna-
I don't know if he's under investigation, but he needs to be. We need to push for that if he's not under investigation. Because we've been talking about this again and again. Why does he not have a bank account?
Well, if he manages to get through January and still be in office, the middle of February is a time when something could really go at him or after him legally about this question and what he's actually been doing behind the scenes. And then March is another time when things just blow open for him. I would find it almost impossible to think that he will stay in a leadership position even
I,
into the spring with all of this.
yeah, that checks out. And aren't there some members of the House that have already decided that he's not? They're trying to pull a Kevin McCarthy.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised that there could very well already be backroom machinations going on
Yeah, I think
involving him.
it was about that they were afraid. I mean, this is awful. They were afraid that he was going to help Ukraine. That he was
Uh-huh.
going to
Well,
save. I think it was about that.
something's really volatile and unsteady about his entire relationship to the legal system, and something's going to get blown out of the water late in March if he isn't already removed before then. So it could have a foreign component to it.
I've picked up on that. Yeah, I've talked about that. I've talked about a Russian connection. We're going to just look at the pendulum and see if he's going to be out in January. Not January. Is he going to be out in, it looks like February.
Something big happening around Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I think that will be it for him.
Everyone, mark your calendar.
I tend to call things early. Might be March.
Well, then there's the clean. So there's one aspect that looks pretty strong in February, and if that isn't the one that does it, look for March.
I'm so
And then even
curious.
if he's taken out of the position of the speakership, August is going to be a very icky, sticky, awful month for him.
Yeah, to me, it's not if it's when, because I just feel so strongly he is done the early part of the year. And then who knows who would be.
Yeah, and there could be massive legal complications coming.
So we've looked at a lot of charts of people that are in Congress now that were part of the insurrection. Have you noticed any pattern of? I mean, we know who they are, right? We know Boebert and we know Marjorie Trader Green and
I would.
Mathis
There
and
seems to be a strong mutable mutable sign connection in these, and I would caution people. Um, Saturn is in a relationship. Saturn's going to is bearing down on anybody who's got early degree placements, particularly in Pisces, but Pisces, Sagittarius, um, Gemini. There are tons of Geminis involved in all of this stuff, and
yeah.
just know that at the end of May, Jupiter is also moving into a mutable sign, and it's going to start teeing up consequences. August and Christmas. It could be a very fun Christmas for these people.
So they're mostly. How many Gemini's off the top of your head?
Oh, good Lord. Bill Barr is one. Pence is one. Giuliani is one. Marjorie Taylor Greene is one.
Trader.
I have forgotten. But what I would say with all of these, because there are a couple of other people whose charts are really interesting, what I would say with all these people is it's coming. Just sit back, pay attention to your own life, tend your own garden.
I
coming.
felt something the early part of the year for them, like subpoenas, that kind of thing. Like March, February, March was my
Oh,
sense.
that could
That they
well
would
be.
know. Yes.
There is an aspect in early February that could bring a lot of structure to some things, particularly if there's a monetary component to some of this stuff,
Right. Right. Like,
which there may well be, without
have,
our having to spell it out.
have we ever looked at the chart for the NRA?
No, I don't have that. I don't believe.
Yeah, I think that at one point we looked at it, and I was, we can maybe look next show. I was wondering about, I feel a strong, for entertainment purposes only, a connection between Russian money go into the NRA, and the NRA lobbying, all the people in our government to push guns, to push guns, to push guns. And there's somebody I was associating with that. I think it was like Ted Cruz
Oh, I do have a chart.
and Greg Abbott too.
What I'll say for the NRA is that Saturn is going to be moving over its moon, and it will very likely be called to answer for. Well, a couple of things are happening with it. Lots of big things. The NRA may now you would have thought that this had already happened since it became bankrupt in New York State, and I think it's moved someplace else. However, this year the NRA could completely reconfigure. There could be events happening by the end of April that blow it to smithereens, particularly financially. Again, they've already filed for bankruptcy and moved out of New York State. I'm not sure where they are right now. Also, Saturn is moving across the NRA moon, which is the relationship that NRA has with the public. And it's increasingly coming across as, with the moon in Pisces, as sacrificing all kinds of people. And by Christmas, there's a really uncomfortable demand-like aspect hitting and actually, let me back up. This time at the end of August could be really definitive for the NRA being called to task for a lot of things legally, and the solar eclipse that's happening in April will blow up the illusion of how we perceive Second Amendment rights. The
Wow.
illusion of so I think this could be a pivotal year for this organization.
Gosh, I hope so. I mean, for them to be dismantled.
And then there's a Mars retrograde at the end of the year that's going to move across the NRA's Uranus 3 times. So there's just all kinds of markers here for them not being in the same structure by the end of the year that they are right now.
Do you see? Let me see. Let me test my astrology. The money from foreign enemies, is that the 9th house?
That would be.
I'm getting better at this. Do you see anything to do with foreign
Well,
money?
I mean,
Foreign enemies?
the noon chart, it's part of what the NRA is about.
Money from foreign enemies?
Using money to influence legislation, using money, I mean, it's a killing machine. I don't know.
Like the source of their funding.
I understand that, and some of that could be coming out in this year and next year, more and more about that coming out. But I think there's already been significant information about Russian money flowing through the NRA and then going from the NRA to GOP candidates.
Yeah, I feel
It's
that.
been a conduit.
I feel that's going to be exposed.
Okay.
Could be connected to what Jack Smith is finding out too. It could be connected to that. I think he's finding out. I feel like with Jack Smith, there's reams and reams of information that could fill a library with what he's finding out.
And he's an early degree
Gemini.
Gemini,
Yeah.
but there are different ways of reacting to things. So all these harsh aspects are hitting him, and he's just doubling down and getting his details in order.
And do you? I don't want to make you dig for charts, but
let me.
what do you have in front of you?
Oh, I've got easily 25 charts in front of me. Let me find. Jack Smith is in here.
Look, and I'll greet everyone. Hi, everyone. This is Spirit Talk Podcast with our resident astrologer, Kathy Biehl.
Hello.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. We do this show every couple of weeks prior to the new moon and prior to the full moon. So right now we're in our prior to the new moon next week, Thursday. And Capricorn?
Yes. So what I see about him is he's really a phrase I hear is doubling down. He's getting the details and the money aspects more and more and more and more under control. And there will be more of this coming to light in January. Additionally, by the end of the year, he could be perceived as a hero or a savior.
Jack Smith, we're talking about.
Yep. And things are just going to get bigger and better as we get. So I'm going to say late April and then into the end of May, a really, really significant time for his work, building and getting somewhere. Really, really seriously getting somewhere. I mean, all the details lining up, all the paperwork lining up. The very end of the year could wrap a bunch of things up for him. And then August could be when he really shoots into the public eye in a way we haven't seen him before. So that tells me it's highly probable that some major case is going to have huge developments late in the summer.
Do you have any?
It's the way that the scheduling roulette is going, who knows? But I will say this tells me one of the federal prosecutions will get somewhere. No matter how much people are freaking out now about delay and this and that and whatever, something is going to get somewhere by the end of August. He will be dominating the news.
You have a law background. What do you think from that perspective that might happen like around March with the January 6th trial?
Well, there are a couple of things that could happen because there's this immunity appeal that's making its way up. So the Supreme Court decided not to let Jack Smith leapfrog straight to it to decide Trump's blanket presidential immunity claims because they were already before the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. I suspect this will get solved fairly quickly. And just given what other things are going on in February and in March astrologically. And there are a couple of ways. If the DC Circuit decides that, as it should based on the law, that a president doesn't have immunity for things he does as a candidate, the Supreme Court could decide just to let it sit, just to not act on that and deny the review, in which case the trial goes through.
Right.
They'll probably play some games, but
definitely.
With what is happening in Jack Smith's chart by the end of August, this tells me that even though we have the two big cases, the one where the judge in West Palm Beach has been playing games with scheduling, which
Yeah.
is supposedly going in May, and then the one in DC, which was supposed to start in March. Whichever one of those is going to go, and August is huge for it. So
Hmm.
don't hyperventilate, people, and don't forget also
Agreed.
that there are other cases in the pipeline. There is the hush money criminal prosecution in Manhattan that is scheduled at the end of March, and E. Jean Carroll's second defamation case gets to go through.
This
And then
month,
there's
right?
also what's happening with the Trump org. So, and I'll just point out that although there's not a lot that's truly difficult and horrible immediately in the chart that you want to see these things happening in, I will say as the year goes on, it gets pretty bad. And as we get into the summer, his whole place in the world gets blown up from multiple directions, which could be losing a whole bunch of properties and his money. And then in August, when this big event happens around the 25th, that I have mentioned, I think 3 times at this point,
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter is going to be right on top of his disruptor planet, and Saturn, um, the rule of law, basically in his house of open enemies, will exactly square it, and that coincides with Jack Smith being in the front and center of everything. So there's just so long that this game can go on. I will also point
Yeah.
out, though, that in March there is a lunar eclipse on top of his planet of illusion in his money house. So there is something that is wrapping up the whole uh, all of his business deals. Like, what are they really? You know, how much vaporware has he sold? What's the amount of money laundering? How much of it
Right.
has been fraud? And there is something huge wrapping up in March with that. So fear not.
Yeah.
And the April eclipse blows open the planet that's his Teflon shield. So don't, it's unavoidable. It's just unavoidable. Don't worry
Yeah.
about
The
it.
odds are that he's going to go down in history as one of the most heinous individuals ever to be in a position of leadership in our country. I really do feel the hammer coming down in March.
Yeah.
Something big. And with, I hate to get into the subject, so we'll just touch on it lightly. All this talk about his stench, it's surprisingly really catching on. Like everyone's talking about Trump. Trump smells bad, and I've been picking up on. And in fact, the last PNN I did, I was pulling cards on Trump, and I said he's sick. He's not just mentally; he's physically sick. I I don't feel like he feels well at all. I don't know if you saw the
I don't see
little
how he
bit of
could.
footage. Did you see the little bit of footage, if you watch Midas Touch all the time like I do, of the New Year's Eve party?
No, no,
They're
I
doing the countdown and he's not even counting down. He's just standing there with a big, kind of frown on his face, watching everybody and just really not there. And I'm thinking he just doesn't look like he feels well at all. Joe's saying he's rotting from the inside. Kind of like that.
well, it's quite a metaphor, isn't it?
Yeah. So I don't think he's physically well. I think that he's very, very sick. And I don't think people that are healthy smell that putrid from what's being reported. When you think about it, it's kind of right?
True.
I mean, and he's so awful. And of course, I mean, he's probably doesn't smell like a rose. So it does look like we're heading in a decent direction. I know we've looked at the United States chart in the past, and I'm concerned about the potential for violence, but I kind of feel like it's going to fade away. So, did you see anything when you looked at
Well,
the
as
chart?
Saturn between now and early February, Saturn's going to be squaring the U.S. Uranus, which could be lone lone wolf craziness, disruptive
Yeah.
nonsense going on.
Yeah, but not like troops of domestic terrorists like January 6th.
I really don't feel that, and it would be no, I don't think that's what this is about.
Do you remember when you looked at the January 6th, 2021 chart and you saw like the energy of January 6th, 21? Like
Yeah.
a lot of astrologers were commenting on it. I don't remember if we looked at it, but
Oh, let me see if I have it.
I just, while you're looking for it, I remember this past year, earlier in the year, I was walking and I was worried about all the stochastic terrorism, as we all are, that Trump is continually engaged in. And so I said a little prayer and I said, "Dear God, please save us from Donald Trump." And I immediately heard, "I already did." So I'm thinking that the real danger that we were in then of losing our democracy to fascism has passed. She said, crossing her fingers. Not that we don't have to still
I
work hard.
agree. I agree. Hang on.
Yeah, that was the biggest test, I think, in our lifetimes that we will be facing from, domestic.
So I've guessed my recollection of when the Capitol was breached. Um,
You mean the time?
oh, interesting. We haven't discussed Pluto,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're going to. Pluto, which deals with the shadow and with things that are going on we can't see, deep dark forces. It's also how we express power. Pluto is going back into the sign of Aquarius from January 20th to November 18th. I'm sorry, just September 1st, and then it'll be back in Aquarius from November 18 on. And it's only going 3 degrees into the sign of Aquarius. It's only going as far as Saturn in the January 6, 2021 chart. So Pluto's going to move over that. And by the middle of June, there is a my God, we're going to do something about this boom influence on that. So I think that's and it's in the ninth house, so which is the house of litigation and also things going on in Congress, the legislation. So I think something really major will happen early in the summer uh, uh, that sets something up that isn't really going to be cleaned up until early 2025.
Yeah.
But it's big. It's really big.
So that could be a number of things. That could be that we find out about the foreign enemy connection, right? Because I think that Putin was behind all the disharmony that's been happening in this country since Trump.
Oh, I think since before.
Yeah, well, it just became kind of in our faces since Trump, right?
But
Since they
as we
meddled.
so a second though, as we say this, Jupiter in Taurus, which is just kind of sitting there, it's stationed direct on the 30th of December. It expands everything. It's in money, the sign of money, the sign of banking, the sign of tangible resources. Jupiter is just sitting on the edge of Uranus in Taurus in the January 6th chart. And towards the end of January, it's going to go over it, and Saturn's going to be sextiling that, translating that into English. We have something happening that will trigger things having to do with behind the scenes money in January. In January,
I was reading tea leaves last week. Might have been Monday. No, Monday was Christmas. It's probably the Friday before. And I was looking in the teacup when I'm reading the tea leaves, and I saw a dragon and a bear. And I went, "We're gonna find out what Russia and China have been up to. It's gonna be right in our faces."
boy, will it!
Yeah.
And you know what else? The nodes in this chart for January 6th, 2021, karmically tied to Trump's chart, and his Uranus, which is his disruptor planet, his rogue planet, his I'm going to do whatever I damn well please planet, is right on top of the North Node. So this was part of what he came in to do. I am so sorry to say this, but it's true.
Well,
but it ties him directly to it. It ties him directly to it.
I always say that we were much too loose in our country with our democracy. We didn't have, I mean, we could, some people, whoever goes into public office needs a psychology test. They need a psychiatric evaluation, you know, among other kinds of investigations.
Well, I'm going to say from this that here's my just based on piecing these three charts together. Jack Smith's, January 6th, and Trump's. This period at the end of August will definitively tie Trump to the insurrection, and Smith will do it.
And our democracy will be saved, right?
I have never seen it in danger. You're the one that keeps bringing this up.
It was in danger on January 6th, 2021.
Yeah, no, but this to me, this solidifies the end of August being when the answering finally happens. The answering for finally happens for the insurrection piece. So there are other pieces. There are many pieces.
Yeah,
but the insurrection piece. So maybe this means that whenever the DC trial gets pushed to, everything wraps up by the end of August, and that's it. Bam, he's toast.
I think that it will happen in March. The trial about January 6th.
Oh, it's none of this is impossible. Yeah. There are many different scenarios under which all of these things could still happen.
Yeah. I feel like there are people behind the scenes pushing for things to be on schedule.
Here's a question for your pendulum. I'm not going to look at this one astrologically. There is some supposition that the fact in his immunity response, Jack Smith listed a number of specific actions that the president wouldn't be responsible for if Trump's claim goes through. And these are all really serious things, and each one of them smells very much like it ties to specific evidence that Smith has. And one of the items was a president selling classified secrets to a foreign country. My question for the pendulum is, does Smith have that evidence?
I don't even need the pendulum.
He has it, doesn't it? I mean, if he put it in there, doesn't that mean he has the evidence?
It's definitely. Yeah. You know he didn't steal those secret documents to start a little private museum. Boxes and boxes. And I mean, this is where Trump, the cosmic reason for Trump was we cannot just trust people. You know what I mean? Just to put it simply, we can't just be like, oh, well, he'll be for America. He won't do anything bad because he'll do the right thing. I mean, we are past the time that people went to church and thought about fire and brimstone if they did something wrong. You know, we are way, way past that. We're past people, you know, wanting to be seen as decent and as good people. Unfortunately, there are just more people on the planet. And there's more room for things to go askew and for people to be awful. There's just more people. So I really think we're past the time of just trusting. It still boggles my brain, as it does everyone's, I'm sure. He's leaving the White House and there's trucks and boxes and trucks and boxes and there's stealing all these documents and nobody said a peep. We need to fix that. We need to safeguard our democracy. So I do think we're heading in that direction. If it weren't for Trump, we wouldn't have safeguarded we wouldn't be forced to, right?
Very true.
Look at what happened after 9/11. I mean, I just remember after 9/11, I was like, How are we so naive? Boy, we really are naive. We really were going around thinking that other countries won't do anything bad to America. Like, duh. America's like really a child in so many ways.
Oh, yeah.
What you looking at?
Ronna McDaniel's chart.
Oh, I almost forgot. Thank you for bringing it up. I
Okay, so
texted Kathy, like, what was it, 2 weeks ago?
last week,
Last week?
you invited me to put up short videos. I didn't have the energy, so we'll talk about it now. All right, now she's the head of the RNC. She's Mitt Romney's niece. And it recently came out that she was on a phone call with Trump in which he pressured electors or people at a very low local level in Michigan to not certify votes. And he basically said, I'll give you a lawyer if you do this. So that's like the bribe. Well, her chart, I don't have a birth time, but, and if she was born on a day when the sun changed signs. So she's born during the first part of the day. She's at the very end of Pisces. If she was born from 2 o'clock on, she's at the very beginning of Aries. But we don't need to know that to see what else is happening with her. She has all kinds of stuff pushing her to answer for behind the scenes communications, for fraudulent communications, for self-sabotaging communications. She was on the call. And this time period in August that I have mentioned is incredibly hot for her. But she may already be feeling it by early February. Now, there are some people who have been saying it would behoove her to just plead out and get this over with.
Yeah.
And maybe she will, maybe she won't. But whether she does or not, February is a really pushing, trying, challenging time with more information coming out about fraud in the legal system. So her role with all of that. And then these two time periods that I've mentioned. And let me back up. The eclipse in April also just blows apart all kinds of things for her in a big, big, big way. And it could be that her primary relationship cannot take the heat from
You mean
it.
her romantic relationship?
Her marriage maybe can't take the heat from it, from what's about to blow up.
Ronna McDaniel, just in case people are just trying
to or family stuff or something, but there's something truly dramatic blowing up what she thought her life was and getting her for actions she took as a leader. And then these two time periods that I've mentioned, late in August and again around Christmas, slam her chart. So if she does not cooperate and make a deal and do something, there will be. I don't see her escaping answering legally for this situation. It's not going to go away.
She has no defense.
No.
She absolutely. I mean, can you think of any defenses she might have?
I'm related to two former governors. I don't know.
Who wants nothing to do? She dropped her name, the Romney name, because Trump wanted her to. It's insane. Well, throwing the ball to the psychic over here momentarily. When I heard that story, I got immediately, she is done. She's facing prison time. And most of all, I got she was absolutely beside herself, freaking out, panic attacks, anxiety, because she knows it. I think I wonder if she'll go to jail, even if it's a short time.
She could.
Yeah.
And it could be in August.
Yeah, I do. I feel like she's going to jail. Ronna McDaniel. And she's one of those people, like so many, that you hear them on the news just lying to your face. Like, oh my gosh, she would just go on and on and on. I bet that's going to stop.
I bet so too.
Warren was asking when's her birthday.
Her birthday is March 20th, 1973.
She's born in Aries.
In Austin, Texas.
Oh, okay. her energy seems more Aries to me, but
Well, 0 Aries, yeah, but she does have 2 planets in Pisces, and her Chiron's in Aries as well. So that's part of it.
isn't Chiron like your wound?
Right. So, yeah, she's a power player, family power stuff. I don't know. The other
Yeah.
person you asked me about, I'm going to just jump unless
Yeah.
you want to say more about Rana.
No, I think that's good. I was wondering, like you said, March 20th. I was just kind of wondering when it changes.
Oh,
The
like about 2.
19th.
Oh, every year it's a little different, but on the day she
Yeah.
was born, just before 2 o'clock is when it changed from
Yeah.
Pisces
So
to
she's
Aries.
right on the cusp. And you mentioned last week about that, like Mercury, where Mercury is placed, has
It's on
some.
either in the same side or on either side. So in her case, her Mercury and her Venus are in the sign immediate. They're in Pisces.
This could be a very emotional time for her.
Oh
Pisces is
yeah,
emotional. Not. I don't see her going down the spiritual road like Pisces can, but
probably not.
no. I don't see her having a come to the real Jesus moment. Let's see. Gosh, there's so many people we can ask about. That's why I want to just see what you have in your pile.
At least Stefaniak.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hard year for her. I will be stunned if she is reelected. I mean, I don't even know she's up this time around, but uh, really, the next January is a really tough time for her as well. And her duplicity, her switching gears, her switching her story will be coming up more
What
and more and more in
What's her
January.
actual position? What is her actual title?
She is a representative in New York State. So she's a member of the House of Representatives from New York State.
Isn't
And
she
my
the head?
understanding is that she used to be a Democrat.
And yeah, she did. She used to be normal. There's a lot of people. A lot of these people used to be normal,
And then
but
became a Trumper.
isn't she a spokesperson for the Republican Party in New York?
She's got a podium of some sort, so that would make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, she does. Maybe
But
someone in the chat knows.
so Saturn is slamming her North Node Chiron conjunction all month
Aw,
long, and
aw. I'm crying.
there's some answering for switching, answering for multiple points of view, answering for multiplicity and duplicity, and also hang on, August and December. Let me back up. March, a lot of things probably coming to light, um, involving it and changing her relationship with her constituents, changing her relationship with her district, and ending like the love affair will be over, very very likely at that point. And then these dates that I mentioned in August and December are really tricky for her as well. So there are people of a certain age that are kind of in the danger zone for this, and she's in it.
Warren saying Elise took Liz Cheney's leadership position, so she was leading the Republican Party in some way. She's up for re-election this year, as are all House members.
I
Um,
will be very surprised if she is reelected.
I'm seeing a consistency here with people not being able to move forward with their criminal antics. Are you?
Yearly, you see there's a pattern maybe?
Yes, I detect a pattern for justice being served.
Or accountability being enforced.
Yeah, well, it's similar, right? It's part of it. I am I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of excited about the year. We should probably not leave without visiting the Biden administration.
Okay, let me find his chart right here.
Maybe do you
Now,
have America's chart and Joe Biden together? Is that how you do it?
well, let's see.
Oh, by the way, don't forget to tell everyone about your workshop on Thursday before we go.
I will mention it twice. I'll mention it here. I'll mention it at the end. On Thursday, 3 to 5 Eastern, I am doing a workshop with Donna Woodwell. Many of you who know me know Donna. Anyway, it'll be very chatty. And what we're doing is guiding people through a workbook to see how all of the different planetary movements of 2024 are affecting your individual chart and
Personal.
help you figure out what to do with it. And no, nobody talks with us. All right. So your stuff is silent. You get infinite replays and you get a workbook. A workbook. Donna's a Virgo. You get a workbook. So,
Nice.
most
For
of
the
which I've been
low,
writing. So,
for the low cost of it's very reasonable.
oh, $27. So
That's
there you
it,
go.
people.
If you go to empowermentunlimited.net, there's a link right at the top. If you have a registration problem, I'm not handling the registration. It is automatic. It is your internet service provider is not cooperating with Kajabi. So if you send me email, I will send it on to Donna. 2 people have had a problem so far. All right.
Oh, okay.
So Biden. Biden has some. He's through kind of like the worst of the impeachment nonsense. There might still be some challenges. Things might still be somewhat pushing at him into February, however.
Yeah, you mentioned that before, that the first part of the month will be a little bit, the year will be a little bit bumpy the first couple of months.
But, you know, when Pluto moves into Aquarius on the 20th, it is going to square his moon. Something will be happening involving his kids. There are 2 flaps going on. Hunter Biden has his own, his various prosecutions, and there's also litigation going on where the people who swiped his daughter's diary and published it have claimed that they have a First Amendment right to publish her diary, and that got struck down. So there may be more going on with that. So ongoing concern with his children.
Yeah.
But I will also tell you that he has a kind of a paternal approach to everything going on in this country. So he will be looking at things involving AI and what happens with power, with collective power as opposed to top-down power. He says, and I believe that this is an honest statement, that he views reality through the eyes of his father from Scranton, of a man who lost his job. He does not view reality through the eyes of a man who has made the money he made. And I will also point out to people, which they probably don't know because he's been in the public eye so long, he started out as a legal aid attorney.
He did. Huh. I didn't know that.
Legal aid attorney. That's where his alliances with the Black community begin. I don't know if you've known anybody who does legal aid. These people don't do it because they want to make a lot of money, because they don't make a lot of money. There is something bigger driving, and that is definitely going on with him. And there will be increasingly, as Pluto makes its little first time in, this pass through Aquarius from January 20th to September 1st, and then again from November 18 on, it's going to be making a really beautiful aspect to Neptune in his chart. The man, I understand he goes to church every single day. There could really well be much more of a sense of something with a higher purpose coming down through everything he does. And Pluto is also, just watch his health. I mean, I think he's in much better shape than I am, which isn't saying much, although he's decades older than I am. But there could be something in which his daily routine really gets shaken up. Something happens in the middle of June. But apart from that, I just see progress, especially there's all kinds of behind the scenes stuff going on in January that we don't know about. Where he and his people are basically working on the economy and doing things that are setting the infrastructure and the foundation of the country up stronger and stronger and stronger.
It's incredible. It's really incredible. I was walking today and I kept thinking about, Biden has a trademark smile, right? if I say think about Biden smiling, it's just you can imagine, you've seen him smiling, and he definitely has a presence that's like it's all good, and it's very reassuring energy. And I think with the economy improving and people getting on their feet and doing well, I really do believe we're going to cut through this delusional fog we've been in for the most part. I think the Trumpsters are going to quiet down when they just see the reality. I've been saying that all along too. Once they see that their lives are getting better in general and the economy in America is getting better in general, and these Republicans have no interest whatsoever in helping anybody, I really do think we have a lot to look forward to, not to mention all the democracy groups that have popped up. So I think we're in good shape. It doesn't mean that you know, we can't like rest on our laurels. We definitely, it's going to be as a result of us doing a lot of hard work with messaging, but I think we have reason to be hopeful. And you said the energy for the year was get out of my way, right?
Out of my way. Yep.
I still haven't done my video with my predictions yet. I just want to say that I get these two words. I like out of my way, by the way. It's beautiful. Hanging on to that. Mine is hope restored.
Excellent.
Yeah, I feel like, and get out of my way and hope restored. Let's just use those in our affirmations for the year. It's going to be a good year, and I know we say that every year, but in the years even when we have our trials, it's like we learn so much of what we need to learn, and to just kind of wind down on a positive note. I really believe that the people like Joe Biden and all the people that are leading the way into a better world right now know that it was preordained. Whatever you think of that word, it's like they came here to do this. Jack Smith, I've said it before, there's no way to prove it. I feel like he was George Washington. He came in to do this. Joe Biden's soul prepared for this leadership position his whole life.
I agree with
And
that completely.
right time, right? It was like he didn't make it before. He had all these, wrenches that he kind of fell into the works, but it happened at the right time, reinforcing democracy and saying peace, love, and compassion. Cheryl's saying.
Yeah, that's good too. I
Is
have
there
one.
any?
Well, I have one statement to wrap up that
Yeah, go ahead.
is looking forward for the year, and it's harkening back to something I said on Saturday when we did our just before New
I'm
Year's
from
little
too. That was
pop
fun.
up, and that is that there's terrific catalyzing energy all year long, like little booster rockets going off and going off and going off. We've been kind of sitting in our own stuff for a few years and reprioritizing and streamlining and simplifying and being given many, many opportunities to pay attention to the physicality of our lives and our surroundings and our own physical well being. January is kind of like the month to get all that stuff in the shape you want. And then we're going to run for it like crazy. So,
So
this
we're
is not a
trained.
year of being stuck. This is the year of getting
Yeah.
massively unstuck.
Oh, that's great because it has felt like we've been in the muck for how many years now?
Yep.
It reaches a point where you're like, enough! I'm done with this. Let's
Yeah.
move
Well,
forward.
I another astrologer has said this is the year of I don't give an F. So, I'm done with it is a much more polite way of putting it.
Well, I think get out of my way doesn't indicate, that you've just been like pushing everything aside, right? Get out of my
No,
way.
out of
Like,
my way. Here I
I have
go.
work to do, right?
Out of my way. I'm a busy
Yeah.
person. Boom.
So excellent. Just tell us again, do your little commercial, and then I'll do mine.
My name is Kathy Biehl. My site is empowermentunlimited.net. I have weekly, monthly, and new and full moon forecasts there and at my YouTube channel, Professional Aquarian. I also have, so I'm doing this 2024 Write Your Own Story workshop with Donna Woodwell on Thursday, 3 to 5 Eastern. There's a link at the top of my site. You don't have to do it live. You can listen to it as many times as you want afterwards. I'm also, by enough people pestering me, I'm doing a short video of a 12 house tarot overview for people based on the 12 houses of a chart. And there's something for that in the shop. It's not up at the top page, but if you find it, you can order one. I'm not going to draw it to your attention. It takes a lot of effort.
What is that? You teach about the different houses?
No. What it is I lay a spread using a 12 house. It's a 12 house tarot spread, and then for each person who buys one, they get their own individual spread, and I tell them what it means.
Oh, okay.
And they get a video they can look at and ponder. And
you're like me. You have so many things going on.
Yeah, I'm kind of tired. So
it gets to the point of, I know, I felt it yesterday. I was like, I'm not doing a video. I'm taking the rest of the day off. But it's so much to go through, right? To let people know all that you're doing. But it's all good. So the best thing, just to go over everything in your menu, is to go to empowermentunlimited.net, right?
Yep, that's where pretty much all of it is, unless, of course, you want my wacky book, which is at ninthhouse.biz. That's 9 numeral TH house.biz, BIZ, and that's Confessions of a Third-Rate Goddess. And I will soon have postcards with my book tale. I had commissioned a cocktail for it. Oh, it's dangerously good. I had a bunch of them. A bunch of them over Christmas.
Check that out. That's great. Tonight we have Grassroots of Democracy. Go to grassrootsofdemocracy.com. Our 20 on Tuesdays guided meditation for a healed America. I've been doing that meeting for over a year now. I'm amazed at how, must be that moon in Taurus to just keep going. So that's tonight. Go to grassrootsofdemocracy.com and sign up for 20 on Tuesdays. This is a year we all have to get involved in saving our democracy. My channel is a pro-democracy channel, as is Kathy's. I think you would call it that, right?
Oh.
We're pro-democracy all the way. We like our freedom. And to get a reading, psychicannetteDion.com, to uplift you spiritually. Church of Spirituality is on my site too, right here. Check it out. When you become a member, you get an affirmation in your inbox every single day. And there's more, but I can always forget something. So thank you so much. PNN's back tomorrow night, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And thank you. We had a great time.
Always.
And we're doing a group hug. Warren wants us to.
Group hug, Warren. You got it.
Yes. And hit the thumbs up and subscribe, please, on the way out. Love you all. See you soon. Thanks, Kathy.
Bye.
Bye.